Don't look up Rainbow Kiss. It'll ruin your day. Alright, but anyways, in all serious, hey guys, welcome back to Raunchy Reviews. And for this episode, we're going to be reviewing Evil Dead 2013, the remake to Sam Raimi's movie. And let's jump into this.
Oh yeah.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is characters. And I think generally all the characters work together as much as they are kind of just there to die.
Yeah, they're all decently good characters. None of them is really like overtly an asshole.
No, except for the teacher.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Or one standout scene that I think has some really good acting in it is, so there's a scene later on in the movie where Mia's brother, who is the main character of this, who the first deadite or whatever, her brother is gonna set the cabin on fire, and there's like a really touching scene where it calls back to the beginning of the movie, where she talks about a song from their childhood, and I just thought it was really touching, kind of how it kind of made him stop him from killing her. I mean, it worked in the deadites way too, but I think it's like really touching that he's like, nah, I can't burn my sister alive.
He's not willing to burn her alive, but burying her alive, that's a different story.
Burying her alive is, yeah. So one standout guy that we really thought of together was the teacher character. I forget his name. He's the guy that who opens up the Book of Dead, or the Necronomicon. The dude just takes a freaking beating in this, just so hard, just every second. Like crowbar to the hand,
Nail gun through his arm,
nail gun through the arm. He gets stabbed with a syringe in the eye and stuff. Is messed up.
In one scene after the teacher character gets stabbed, David patches him, but he's like, fuck it, and just takes a strip of duct tape, and just puts it over his heart, like that's actually gonna do anything. But like, I guess he should have gone to surgical school, because he survives for a long time after that.
He does. Like, he's probably lost the most blood at all.
Yeah, blood is just constantly gushing out, and he survives.
It's so whack. So the plot of this movie is pretty basic for the most part, but it's so there's 5 people who go to a cabin in the woods, classic, and pretty much they find a evil book, and it releases crazy stuff, and kinda it all goes to shit.
Mm-hmm. So one thing they did differently in the remake was that actually Mia, who is the sister of David, was actually addicted to, I believe, heroin.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that they end up going to this cabin, which supposedly is a family cabin and they visited before, is to do like what is it?
They're pretty much making her go cold turkey.
Yeah. They're pretty much setting up a rehab center for her in this very crappy, looked like no one has been there in over 20 years, cabin in the woods, which wasn't a good idea because they end up in the basement finding some not too cool things, including a book and a room of dead cats hanging from the ceiling, which is an interesting part.
Yeah.
Of the whole thing. I don't think that was in the original at all.
No, the original just started with them going to the cabin, which is kind of how this starts. So before the actual title credit of the screen, there's this scene where they burn this chick alive, which is actually in the house that they stay in. So I don't know, it was a weird way to open the movie, but I guess it kind of sets the tone for what they're going for this movie.
I feel like that scene was almost unneeded, and
it was, though.
Yeah, it could have just started at the beginning where the cars are rolling through instead of just wasting another 15 minutes, but I get why they did it because the movie was only an hour and a half, so I guess they needed a little bit of...
I get what you mean, where they padded out their runtime.
Yeah, they needed to fill some runtime.
Just one of the standout things that like stood out for me from like not really the writing, but like the plot is like, so all these people, so it's pretty much just like a series of kills pretty much, and like how gruesome the kill can be. And one of my favorite ones was the scene of Eric, who's the teacher. He gets stabbed by the nurse. She just finished like cutting off some of her face.
Yeah, she like did like a big Joker smile from her ear to her mouth.
And then like starts stabbing him with some mirror glass, and then goes in with like the syringe and starts stabbing him, and it's just so gruesome, and like it really kind of makes you like cringe and just go, ooh.
I think the worst part of that scene is when he has to pull the actual needle out of his eye.
Yeah,
because you see like the skin with the tension on it.
See, like I'm wondering how they actually did that.
I think that was all CGI.
Do you think that was CGI? Yeah, I don't know. Like it had to be.
I think there might have been like a needle or a ball, but it looked like it moved around a little bit.
Okay.
So, one of my least favorite parts about this movie, which is kind of messed up because it just didn't need to be there, was the dog death scene, which the dog death wasn't shown, but it was shown that the guy was holding the bloody dog corpse, and it wasn't needed to impact the story at all, but the director actually said that the only reason that the dog was included in the movie was to show that there's a little like cave area, like hole that the dog dug in, and that's where he actually found the dead body. But Mia climbs in that later, and the only reason that the dog was there was to set up that whole part.
So I mean, is that contrived?
I don't know. I just think they could have went with a much better way.
Yeah.
But I guess this movie was all about gruesomeness, but the one rule about filming is that you shouldn't kill dogs, and they passed that.
Yeah, they did. There was a dead dog on screen. Listen, they didn't show them killing the dog, but I think a dead dog on screen is still bad.
Not from
it's
like
just hard to
a
look
close
at.
up on a dead dog, because like a far away is all right, because you know what are you gonna do, but they had like a close up of the dude like holding and crying with the dog, and that was just sad.
Yeah, it was just really hard to kind of watch.
Yeah.
Alright, so the filmmaking aspects of this. I thought this movie was pretty beautifully shot. Like, there were some really good, like, establishing shots. Like, I think the shot after the credit sequence is, like, this, like, upside down shot where it, like, kind of then flips upwards. And then, like, it's, like, a really cool helicopter shot, I think it was. And it just, I was like, wow. And they use dolly zooms in this a lot, which I think really helps for, like...
Yeah.
Kind of that maddening, like, craziness.
It's an effect of like uneasiness because it's moving at two different speeds, kind of.
Also, the practical effects in this, they used, I don't know how much blood, but they used so much blood in this movie. It's very gruesome.
Oh my God.
And I feel like when they did use CGI, I thought they used it to their advantage.
Yeah, so I thought the whole blood was used a lot just during the filming of the entire movie, but in the end there's a whole rain sequence of blood. There literally had to be gallons and gallons of blood used, which is just wild.
See, what I'm wondering is if, what is it, It Chapter 2? Because It Chapter 2 had they used a lot of blood, and apparently that broke the record, so I don't know if these two are neck and neck.
How much blood was used. So, Bryce, do you have a guess on how much blood that they used in this movie? I'm gonna just say it's above what you're thinking.
Dude, at least like 100 gallons.
70,000 gallons.
Holy shit.
70? You said 100.
See, I didn't want to... I was like, nah, man, that's gotta be a lot of blood. But like, oh, wow, that is a lot of blood.
Is a lot of blood.
I'm not gonna lie, I think that's way more than the blood that they used in the It Chapter 2, honestly.
Yeah, that seems like...
Like, this had blood throughout the whole movie, and in It Chapter 2, it's just that one scene.
And it was a lot of
fills up with blood.
I feel.
Yeah, so I feel like this scene definitely takes it over that. Or this movie kind of takes it over that scene. So the score didn't really stick out to me as much as I thought it would. I thought for the most part it worked with the movie that it was with. But other than that, that's really all I have to say about the score.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything really standing out about it. I think it all worked with the flow of the movie, but there wasn't anything overly dramatic or overly really good about the score.
I don't know if you guys heard that. I'm gonna keep it in, but you might have just heard a big old truck. Sorry about that.
Heckin' Hicks.
I do think this movie, for the most part, the writing for it is okay for the time period and what the movie they're trying to make. I do think it did need like at least one more rewrite.
Well, you pretty much said this, but like a lot of the talking scenes just didn't feel they didn't flow right, and it almost could have, if they just spent a little bit longer either ad-libbing or maybe just spend a little longer on the actual script, it could have worked better. But there's another part about the rewrite that I think you had to say.
Yeah, I think I've heard this somewhere else, where the two main characters, which is a brother and sister, it's David and Mia. Mia's the one who has a drug problem, but is the one that becomes the Deadite. I kind of think that David should have became the Deadite, because in the end, Mia's the one that survives. She's the final girl. So I think it would have been more harrowing for her to have to try and save her brother from being a Deadite while trying to overcome her addiction. I think that would flow a little bit better, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So just some stuff we wrote down. I thought the Deadites, whatever they said, just didn't work for me. They said they were just always swearing and like saying really almost perverted things. And like I think they thought that was scary for like demonic things to say, but
it came off more funny, and I'd say the whole gore factor really was good, but when they talk, you couldn't help yourself from laughing.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, it was like something a 13-year-old would say trying to roast you.
Like there's a scene, or Mia just gets done as a demon kissing David's girlfriend, and then David looks down into like the basement where she is, and he's like, "Come down here and I'll suck your cock, pretty boy." I'm like, what?
That is your brother. Calm down.
Like, Jesus, like
I don't think you need heroin that bad. It was very like unrealistic point to which they would die. It was almost like they were all living until the house was set on fire, because let's be real, it almost seemed like they were superheroes in this movie with how much of a beating they took, and the only thing to help them was duct tape from David. And I don't think he was the actual nurse. That there was a nurse in the movie, but wasn't him. One kind of thing we didn't talk about was the final like end boss, kind of, who was just a Deadite that came out of the ground to attack and fight Mia, who was the survivor at that point. But you know, she just gets chased through a hole and eventually escapes in the Jeep. So
no, wait, she doesn't escape in the Jeep. She just walks off because the Jeep gets thrown on her and she has to rip her arm off.
oh yeah, wow.
Yeah.
She doesn't escape in the Jeep.
No, she doesn't. She just walks off and probably dies from blood loss, I'm guessing.
Well, I mean, is there really dying from blood loss in this universe?
Fair enough. She'll just come back as a Deadite again. So you have to wait after the credits for this, but Bruce Campbell comes in.
The pinnacle of all end credit scenes in movies was Bruce Campbell just saying, "groovy," and then
looking at the
camera, and that's it.
Like, yeah, like if you didn't really know who Bruce Campbell was, I feel like you wouldn't know who that was.
If you didn't watch the original, you're lost.
Mm-hmm. Another scene that I thought was really cool was, so after she gets the chainsaw in the shed, she like goes right behind the wall, and the demon starts stabbing a machete through the wall and trying to like cut her and stuff. And I just think that is so tense, and she gets like cut in the knee and cut in the arm, and just in that situation I'd be terrified.
And it's not the fact that she was just cut, but like the blade like pierces through the wall and you see it cut her. Mm-hmm. But then it gets dragged back through the cut, and it makes you tense up very
It does.
much so.
Sawyer, I got some cool ass facts for you.
I don't believe you.
Believe it. In the beginning of the movie, you see Sam Raimi's car from any of Sam Raimi's movies. He has an Oldsmobile car that's just in like it just cameos in his movies, which is really cool, and it cameos in this like an old rundown version of it, which kind of makes it connected with the Evil Dead universe.
Yeah,
but
it could possibly connect it with the Evil Dead universe, but
But that's kind of like a whole nother video in itself, honestly.
Yeah.
So I was looking on the IMDb trivia, and it said that so the first letter of all the main characters' names spells out demon. So there's David, Eric, Mia, Olivia, and Natalie, which spells out demon.
That says be warb.
Oh, and then this movie was also banned in Ukraine for extreme violence, which is crazy to think of. So, yeah.
I knew a chick from Ukraine. She said hot dogs for me. In Russian.
Could you say it to me?
No, I don't remember that. That was in 8th grade.
So my final verdict on this movie is I genuinely like this movie. I think I liked it a little bit more than the original, which I'm definitely probably in the minority with that, but I definitely think you should give this movie a watch. It is deserving of it.
Yeah, I definitely think it was a good remake. I don't know if it was quite better than the original, but I would say it's one of the better remakes made just in general. I'd say it's up there with the Rob Zombie Halloween movies, which were also pretty good remakes.
I definitely like those ones. I also think it's up there with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, or the remake of that, which maybe we'll get around to reviewing Halloween and those eventually.
So I'm a pretty tough critic. I'm gonna go 3.5. I don't know if I can quite give it a 4.
3.5? I'm still gonna give this 4 stars. I think it's I like the movie enough to give it 4 stars.
Alright.
Yeah, so definitely give this movie a watch.
I will agree with that.
Okay, so that'll be it for this episode of Raunchy Reviews. If you liked it, make sure to leave a like on this video. And if you have any movies you want us to review or anything you just want to leave in the comments below, definitely leave them down there and I'll be sure to try and respond to you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because that subscribe button will be waiting for everyone. And I think we're done here.
Yeah.
So, I'll see you guys later.
Yep.
Deuces.
Ants. 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 Ants.